We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get sushi after Monday Night Raw?
Welcome to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, a show where a rotating cast of wrestling fans from around the world come and share and debate their opinions, with live comments from all of you shown throughout, as after all, fans are what makes wrestling so special. So sit back, grab a beverage, and enjoy the show. What's going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Tuesday, December 16th. Believe it or not, we're almost through 2025. I'm stunned. I don't know where the year went. It's crazy to me, but happy holidays to everybody out there. We're going to, as we always do on Tuesdays, break down Monday Night Raw. And I'm excited about it. We got a lot of good topics to break down, no question. But I've got a sweet crew hanging with me too. It's not a normal Tuesday, right? Jordy in the Bank, monster shout out, Mr. John Cena, Mickey's best pal. He is out today. Chaos is out getting Nando's with Ben. They're just hanging out, having fun, partying while we're working over here. But I've got not only an old original good friend of the show, but a debut to introduce to you. First and foremost, let me send this one to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that is. So our head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How you been? Happy Tuesday, my friend. What'd you think of Monday Night Raw?
It was interesting. It's rare that I get to do Monday Night Raw reviews. So it's always fun to do these when I do get a chance to do them. It's always fun being on somebody's debut show, because I remember back in the day when we started this thing. So it's always fun to see somebody's beginning and as they progress during the show. And it is kind of funny that it will be the American crew that's doing this. But let's get into it, Clark.
Doubt about it. The whole US is here and the whole UK team is at Nando's. But without any further ado, welcome to the program. Welcome to the team, my friend Lawrence. It's been a long time coming. Good to have you. How are you on this fine Tuesday, my friend?
Super excited. Just want to first and foremost say it's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to be a part of the Wrestling Republic team. I appreciate you, Clark. We had the opportunity to connect. I appreciate Ben and the entire team at Wrestling Republic. This is my first day. I'm excited I get to kick things off doing a Raw review, man. Monday Night Raw is my go-to. I remember, being a kid, 6, 7, 8 years old, watching Monday Night Raw with my late grandfather. So this is a dream, and I'm glad to be here and be a part of the team. Let's get it.
Absolutely. I'm fired up too. And like you said, man, Monday Night Raw has been the flagship show. It's kind of serendipitous that we ended up, you and I connected earlier in the year and whatnot. We ended up on this Tuesday show breaking down a Raw. But let's talk about one of the most controversial topics. Let's talk about throwing everybody to the wolves today, out of the gates with the first topic of the afternoon. Gunther, whichever you prefer, the artist formerly known as Walter. He's got his old music back. And guess what? He did exactly what he said he was going to do to John Cena on Saturday night at Saturday Night's Main Event. He did exactly what he said he would. And then he cut this promo. And people were mad in that arena. I dug that. If there's one positive that came out of the booking from Saturday Night's Main Event, it's Gunther. It felt like he was playing with his food just on the microphone at times. I was actually blown away. I thought it was one of his best promos of his career. But Ant, I want to get your thoughts on this first. Were you in agreement? Do you also think, though, that it's interesting now that Gunther seems to be at his highest of peaks, yet it's not while he's carrying the world title?
Gunther is one of those special performers. He's probably one of the best to ever do it. If I was listing 5 of the greatest of all time, he's probably on my list. In all seriousness, but I obviously wasn't on the review show for Saturday Night's Main Event. Personally, I think they made the right decision. I said on Saturday show when we were covering SmackDown, my prediction was that Cena was going to go out on his back, likely submission. And Cena tapping out to me was him going, my time's passed. It's now Gunther's. And honestly, if the last thing Cena did in this business was to pass that torch and to make Gunther essentially 97 Shawn Michaels with the heel heat, that's the right move. And to open the show and him getting the boos that he got was 100% the right move. The only thing I would have done different, and I love the promo, but when he went back up the ramp, or was going back up the ramp, this is what I would have done, because I think this would have further escalated and pissed people off even more. We've had the Cena music hit.
Okay.
The crowd pops.
Oh, and then he giggles about it.
And he giggles because Shawn used to do that with Brett's music. Just dig that knife in deeper. You know, everyone looks at Hunter laughing with Cena and the boos. That was Cerebral Assassin, Triple H. He used to love the boos. They got the audience. They booed.
They did.
You need that ultimate heel.
And
Gunther is the perfect person for it.
Where we're at now, too, and you made a really great point, too, about where we're at now. The John Cena story is over. Like, it was a definitive retirement at this stage of his career, right? He said he's like done.
Yes.
And of course, I recklessly speculated earlier in the year that there's big enough money down the road that he's going to come back. But either way, that doesn't, you don't have to hold me to that if you don't want to. Shad's in the comments here, friend of the show, the man, the myth, the legend. Gunther was talking heavy. I loved it. LOL. Yes, he was. For me, I was only, and not to beat a dead horse, but I was frustrated by the fact that he said he'd never give up and then he gave up. I would actually have preferred that he still got submitted, right? What happened could have happened, but maybe without tapping. I think they kind of had it the first time. If you look back when they had the dropping of the arm and then he hulks up and comes back for a second, and then it's like, oh no, they took the cookies out of the cookie jar again. And I think the first time, if you just drop the arm the third time, and then maybe he has the smile and the wave over him, that's how I would have preferred it. But it's too late now. And what we saw last night with Gunther's promo was absolutely out of this world in my eyes. Here's the problem. We've got a rivalry that we're going to discuss, on this show between CM Punk, who's carrying the world title, in Braun Breaker. Gunther seems to be the most talked about star right now on the Monday Night Raw roster. And this promo affirmed it even further. I hate the idea of a triple threat here because to me, it feels like it sort of buries what we've built with the Vision. But man, it doesn't seem like the worst idea with this team that Gunther has. Lawrence, I got to ask you about this one, though. What do you think about all that? Where do you see this going, and what did you think about the promo last night?
Yeah, man, I'm a big Gunther fan. I do like Gunther a lot. I sit a lot of times and I listen to his promos. I've had the opportunity to see Gunther grow as a character, and I like to see that he's been able to relish and embrace more being the bad guy. I like how he boasted last night. His promo, obviously there were some things I can't say on the show that he said, but ultimately his promo was just absolutely amazing. I thought that was a strong way. I also like the way that they cut, and when he went to the back, it seemed as if as he was walking out of the arena, they had different people lined up. You had Akira Tozawa, right? And you had the rest of the crew that was with him. And then you also seen other people like kind of afraid to approach him. But one thing that I did like was the AJ Styles sitting on his car, and then he did the "You Can't See Me." But then also people got to remember that AJ's on his way out. And now it almost kind of gives me those legend killer vibes, right? So that Randy Orton, where he was a legend killer, where now Gunther, you step in the ring with him, he may retire you. So I do like his promo. I'm excited to see what's next. One of the things that I said about Gunther, though, is you have to take advantage of this heat. You can't waste this. You can't just let him sit around and not be in the main event or the main title picture. So I'm interested to see where it goes, but I think Gunther ultimately he has to get a title for something. He needs to make sure that his promos are actually continue to be on point and that he's in the right scene. So those are my thoughts.
I'm 100% with you, man. And I seriously think that at this stage, that's the key. You got to keep him around the world title. And it's tough because you have the CM Punk aspect, right? And you got Braun Breaker waiting in the wings. Braun and Gunther isn't really a fit. Punk and Gunther isn't really a fit, right? The second, and then what makes things funkier is the threat of Seth Rollins returning as well down the road. And so, to your point, striking while the iron's hot, when it comes to Gunther and what we see as far as the fallout is concerned, I loved the AJ Styles spot. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was as cool as that was the closest to comeuppance we'll ever get. As far as the results of that match, right? And I think it's important to note that was exactly what we saw on Monday night. One more thing that I do want to add when it comes to Gunther that I find fascinating is the dominance. You mentioned Randy Orton too. Randy Orton being the legend killer and him being the now killer of legends.
Legitimately, yes.
In a definitive way.
Yes.
SummerSlam's in Minneapolis. Gunther Orton at SummerSlam would be out of this world. And I don't want it to be a retirement match. If you're going to carry this, he retires everybody thing on, it can't just be AJ Orton. He knocks down the All-Star team. You can't do that. I'm not cool with that. I think Orton being the one that actually defeats Gunther. No. You thought you were the legend killer? I've always been the legend killer and you won't kill mine. That's how we put a tidy bow on all of this. The way that we've booked Gunther, you have Orton be the one that goes, no. Not me, right? You got everybody else, but that was my thing. I'm the legend killer, not you. So it's not over. And you get him with an RKO, or you get him with a punt, or you get him with something like that. And I think if you could build to that is a match we would remember fondly.
I would think it would mean more if a young guy is the one who takes out Gunther, because you've now taken out the guy that's taken out all these legends. If Orton does it, Orton gains nothing from it. But if somebody, like if he retires all these people, whether it's AJ, whether it's Brock, whether it's Jericho, whether it's Orton, whatever, he's got a whole slew of people. If he's taken all those out and he gets taken out and his career ends at the hand of Obafemi or Jacob Fatu or Braun Breaker, I think it means more.
And that's where I think Orton's career doesn't end. But in my mind, this is what it does, is it puts us in a position for Randy to have his career ended by who it actually should be, which is probably Cody.
Yeah, it's Cody would be. Cody's going to end his, and Dom's going to end Ray's. Like, I think those are pretty much a lock unless something dramatic happens. I do have to say,
AJ Gunther?
AJ being out there with no jacket at all, when I could tell you in Pennsylvania it was like 20 degrees.
It's cold.
So like he's out there, like Gunther's out there with the jacket, which I'm watching this going, I'm in this state, so I know how cold it is, with this, but it's like, okay.
Yeah, okay, so who do you have retiring AJ? Gunther?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Lawrence?
It depends how quickly he's retiring.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that statement right there. I think it depends on how quickly he's retiring. I would say Gunther could potentially be, it's like a tease, but I don't know if Gunther is necessarily the right person for the job.
The other one, though, that I'm going to add to the mix that's really fascinating, and I'm just going to, whatever, we'll bonus topic it, because we actually brought it up earlier in the week, and I'm curious about both your opinions on this. John Cena said in his interview with Chris Van Fleet that Brock Lesnar is going to retire in Minneapolis. Well, that's where SummerSlam is. Is
Money
Gunther-
in the Bank. Isn't
I
it?
thought it was SummerSlam this year.
Oh no,
is
yeah, I'm thinking New
Minneapolis.
Orleans. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Slam
Go ahead.
is Minneapolis, and I think at this stage, and Lawrence, I'll ask you first on this one, man. Is it possible that Gunther retires Brock too? Because Brock Cena Goldberg is like that's a heck of a lineup. Do you see that as a possibility?
I do see that as a possibility that Brock Lesnar could get retired by Gunther, but I looked at it always as a Braun Breaker retirement, right? Like I looked at it. It depends on if Braun Breaker is ready by then. I think Braun Breaker should be the person to retire Brock Lesnar, but I don't know if he would be ready by then in WWE's eyes. Gunther, to me, he retired Cena because there was no one else to retire him. Roman wasn't available for another match. The Rock wasn't available. There was a lot of things that really led to Gunther. So I think when it comes to the person that retires these individuals, it depends on the availability of who's able to actually do so. I think Braun Breaker, in my opinion, is the person that should retire Brock Lesnar. But if he's not ready, then it will be Gunther.
If you can build that, I agree with you. That's a little bit like Field of Dreams stuff, right? If you build it, they will come for sure. A little Kevin Costner action there. Didn't have that on my bingo card movie references wise today, but yeah, I do think that one makes the Braun adds up mathematically speaking, especially when it comes to
Steiner math.
But what do you have for that, Anthony? I'll ask you.
I gotta be honest. I originally thought Gunther is going to be like Thanos collecting careers like Infinity Stones. But I had a weird thought when Lawrence said about Braun Breaker, because I originally thought that's the guy that was going to retire Brock. I think it would be interesting with different people retiring. What if you do this scenario where Gunther's retiring a group of people and so is Braun Breaker? And at some point there's a collision course. Only one career killer could essentially survive. I think you could do that. I think that's entirely option. Also, if you really want to build heat with Gunther more so, I had said to you, Clark, on previous shows, I was like, I think Sami Zayn's probably a front runner for the Rumble winner in Saudi Arabia. What if the final two were Gunther and Sami and he pisses off the audience and eliminates Sami from that Rumble? And that gets him into a title match at Mania?
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all, Ant. I don't hate it at all. But my personal pick when it comes to this one is, The Rock retired Stone Cold Steve Austin the first time. Yes, we saw him wrestle Kevin Owens.
Yes.
But the one name we haven't mentioned, and I feel like this trend happens, and I feel like I trapped both of my co-hosts today because I wasn't trying to. But in my eyes, it ought to be Roman Reigns that retires Brock Lesnar. Given the rivalry that they had,
the history,
and the way that we looked at Stone Cold and Rock, I think it ought to be Roman Reigns. One last time, because also I think Brock's final match is going to have to be sort of a sprint like that. Like a lot of, spamming the finisher button if we were playing WWE 2K, right? Like,
so would Braun Breaker retire Roman after that?
Yeah, that maybe down the road. I think Roman's not done for as long as I think.
I'm just saying logistically. Yeah,
that's another. This is not to make it tinfoil hat time on today's show, but theoretically, I actually believe that Roman Reigns has a lot more years left in him, especially given the schedule that he's worked. In general, I think he can work the schedule he's comfortable with working given his health situation. And that's always been the reason that people have given for him to retire. I think they've actually found a rhythm.
Yeah.
They've found a rhythm. The WWE and Roman himself have found a rhythm with what he's capable of doing physically, when he's capable of working. I don't see that being something that needs to be shut down in the foreseeable future. You now have a formula that makes sense. And I mean, you know me on this show, I love cliches. Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
In a lot of ways, Roman could take the position almost like Undertaker had, where he comes out. For him, it was Mania, but you can he's an attraction now. Roman's an attraction. He's never going to be a full-time roster member ever again. He's just not, and he doesn't have to be.
All right. Let's do this though, by the way, because
Yes.
we could probably break down this one for the rest of the afternoon. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, we'd have fun doing it, but we do have 3 more topics to cover this afternoon real quick here. So
I will try to make this quick, Clark.
Let's get into CM Punk. He drops a bomb on Braun Breaker, a Nepo baby bomb. He calls him a Nepo baby. That's what the Steiner math added up to last night, at least. And give me your thoughts. Break it down all for me.
I enjoyed it. It's obviously the first time we've seen Punk since Survivor Series. Obviously, he dealt with personal things in his personal life. His beloved dog Larry had passed away, and plus he had filming to do as well. Obviously, the storyline was that he was taken out. I liked the promo, even the subtle things, because Braun Breaker brought up AJ Lee, and Punk's out there wearing an AJ Lee shirt, and I love the switch of going. Almost the illusion of this isn't a wrestling storyline. This is now personal. Like it was a great promo. Punk is one of the greatest to ever do it on the mic. I often say, I go back to Paul Heyman's statement, what draws money in this business? Because you answer 3 questions. Who are these people? Why are they fighting? And why should I care enough to buy a ticket or watch the show or whatever? Punk is a master at doing that. It was a great promo. Him throwing in digs at Rick and Scott Steiner, of course, leads me to think, are we going to see Rick and Scott Steiner at some point?
Oh my goodness.
Because they are technically under Legends deal. I don't expect him to tag with Braun Breaker to face Punk and a group of 2 people. But could we see them in the crowd? I think that's entirely possible. I thought it was a great promo. I'm very interested to see where this goes. We know Punk likes working with the younger guys, and whether win or lose, Punk is going to make Braun Breaker look better coming out of that match than he even does going into it. Punk is a master at that. So I think it's going to be really good.
Okay, I've never laughed harder at a comment from our good friend of the show, DCX Warlord. He just said, what if this is how easy Izzy Dame gets cold up? See what I did there? Yes, it is actually possible Izzy Dame gets called up to the main roster in the near future. Sorry, he's watches every Tuesday night show. It's just that tickled me. I'm sorry, Ant, because you were rolling there too. And what I agree with you on a lot of this. Here's my only other thing though when it comes to this. And I'm going to knock my own boss, Ben Allison. Watch this, guys. Ben Allison, the headline is CM Punk drops a bomb on Braun Breaker. This was one of those little firecrackers that you throw at 4th of July. This was not a bomb. He was throwing firecrackers at his toes because he still has to wrestle Braun Breaker at the end of this. That's the problem.
What was the bomb? I could be wrong. Was the bomb of Punk throwing a dig, in theory, at Vince? Because he goes, because there were less smart people than me back in the day. Like, is that the bomb he's referring to? At this point, does anybody care? Like,
that's right, Lawrence. I want to ask you your thoughts on this. What was your instinct coming out of the Punk and Breaker exchange? Because mine was still Braun looks stronger.
Yeah, full transparency, I am a CM Punk fan. Right. So CM Punk is my favorite wrestler ever. Right. But to me, the match really doesn't make too much sense to me. Now, the reason why I say that is not that I'm saying that the match shouldn't happen. But I think one thing that we look at is CM Punk, unfortunately, and this is coming from a CM Punk fan, he is a placeholder champion right now. He doesn't have the title if Seth Rollins never gets injured. So my thoughts overall on his promo was what CM Punk does best. He's going to go low, right? And he's going to be able to get underneath your skin a little bit. And as we've seen the ending of the show, Braun Breaker took that personal, right? Obviously, this is a feud. And he left him on the canvas and he speared him. I like Braun Breaker as well. And I thought that's what I agree with you. I thought that made him look strong. But the back and forth, I know we'll talk about towards the end of the show about obviously the masked person unmasked now. But I think that Braun Breaker, one thing with the CM Punk program that he said, you're not, you don't have the guts to come out here by yourself. So now's the question. Are you going to be coming out with Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman and Austin Theory now in the background and Logan Paul? Now it's like, okay, you got a lot of guys, Bron, that are hanging around. So CM Punk got you there. Are you coming one-on-one, or is this going to be 1-on-4? Or are you going to step up and strap up and it's just me and you on the first Raw of the year? That's my thoughts.
I like that for the first Raw too. That is a really great shout. I didn't even think about, because it's funny. We have those like really popular Monday Night Raws, and obviously that's what we're breaking down today. But the one after Mania, right? Raw after Rumble, Raw, first Raw of the year, last Raw of the year, all of those. That is a great shout for first Raw of the year. But obviously, we got to keep it rolling on today's show because we got to talk about the Bella twins. Well, only one of them, Nikki Bella. And this was a world title match between Raquel Rodriguez, Stephanie Vaquer, who obviously Nikki Bella can't say Stephanie Vaquer's name. She's messed it up pretty much every time. She said Vaque, Vacu. She's missing an R the majority of the time that she makes an effort to mention Stephanie, and she ruins the match. Now, I will say, I was at Monday Night Raw about a month and a half ago. Felt like it was about time for a heel turn then. I'm not going to lie. We saw her on the concourse deny some autographs. We were like, yeah, no, she's out of here. It makes perfect sense in the interest of fairness. Nikki Bella around the world title is fascinating. If this is just going to be built around, though, Stephanie Vaquer wins by DQ here. And Rocky Rodriguez is one of my favorite wrestlers. If this is just built around the fact that Nikki Bella is going to piggyback off of botching her name and then have a big rivalry with her and either put her over or not, I'm a little disappointed. I can't lie. But I didn't hate the match last night, and I didn't hate the run-in either. So, Lawrence, I want to get your thoughts on it. How do you feel about the whole situation, and how do you feel about the world title picture on the women's side on Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, my thoughts on the world title picture on Monday Night Raw is I like Raquel being the person to get the opportunity. It makes for a good space right now. I thought Raquel getting the opportunity made a ton of sense. It keeps, obviously, Liv and Roxanne Perez away from a title shot right now. But I think that it also preserves, because now we're going to see the rest of the Judgment Day actually go ahead and get an opportunity, right? We're going to see probably at one point Roxanne Perez get her shot at the title. You're going to then see probably Liv Morgan get her shot at the title. But then as well, I think we're going to potentially look at a triple threat, because obviously Raquel is furious, as she should be. And I like to see that. I like to see Stephanie actually get some competitors, and I love to see the women's world title actually defended. And then as well, when you have Rio, right? Rhea and Io obviously building their tag team. They're in the tag team division for right now. It's also bringing fresh competitors, because if we look back 6 months ago, there was a lot of people that felt like, okay, Io Sky, Rhea, they keep going back and forth for the title. I was there when in Atlanta here when Naomi cashed in and she won the title here in Atlanta at Evolution. So that was exciting. But I think that Stephanie Vaquer is doing a good job. And I like the Nikki Bella, and I think it makes for good airtime. And I like to see a triple threat at the first Raw of the year. Those are my thoughts.
I absolutely love the idea of a triple threat. And it's funny because we were critical of the amount of triple threats, I would say, during 2024 on this show, well before, Lawrence, we had you join and whatnot. Now they feel like they've been missing. Triple threats used to be sort of a staple of really good WWE television at times. And I think this one adds up. If there was ever a better time, I don't know one for sure, but let's talk about a real interesting topic here for our main event of the evening, afternoon, morning, depends on where you are geographically right now listening to this, but happy whatever time of day it is, no doubt about it. Let me talk really quick about Austin Theory, though, because I was at Survivor Series. And we saw the stomp, and we saw him climb out of the cage, and there's been a lot of speculation. And I was also at WrestleMania 39 with Mr. Anthony Ricciardi, and we were there with Ben Allison and Chaos and a full crew of guys, Kobe Gallanzowski, all kinds of people were there for that one. And we watched Austin Theory win the opening match of night one at WrestleMania 39. And Ben has spoken about Austin Theory all year. And he was at one stage doing push-ups until he won a match on television. That got to he can't do that many push-ups. The time went to a stage that he's physically incapable of actually doing that many push-ups. So he ditched that gimmick. In the interest of fairness, I mean, was he going to break his arms trying to do push-ups for Austin Theory? I wouldn't personally. Of course he's the masked man. What are we going to pay off the egg? What in the wide world of sports are we doing here? What just happened? Okay. The other thing, you know what? While I'm ranting, I'm going to keep ranting. Logan Paul, we've sat here and done, he's underrated. He's ahead of his time. He does all these great things. I could have a great match with Rey Mysterio. We put him with the best workers in the world on the other side of that. And yes, his persona moves people emotionally, whether it's positively or negatively. He's as polarizing as anybody in the world. And so, yeah, there's eyeballs every time he wrestles. But this whole he's underrated thing, knock it off. Anybody on the roster could have a great match with Rey Mysterio. Absolutely. Are you kidding? It's Rey Mysterio. That's a Hall of Famer. Anybody could. Right? Oh, he saved him the one time. That's a great clip from Impulsive. Remember, it did like what was it? Like 9 million views when he clipped it? Okay, whatever. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, Theory being the masked man. So whose side is it? So now Theory and Logan are teamed with the Bronze and the Wise Man. I'm going to you first, Lawrence, man. What are we doing here? Can you explain some of this to me? Because I'm frustrated by it. And Logan gets his victory over Mysterio with the Eddie Guerrero move, the Frog Splash, no less.
Mm-hmm.
What did we just witness?
Man, it's interesting to see. So I was watching last night. I was a bit surprised that they maybe unmasked Theory. I thought that they were going to wait until Theory cost Punk the title potentially, right? And Braun Breaker awarded the title at the first Raw. That was my initial thoughts, that Theory would be unmasked then. But I think that Theory being unmasked had a lot to do with, what took place on Saturday, with them actually wanting to go ahead and give the audience something to feel good about going into the holidays. I know that Saturday for a lot of people wasn't really good, to them, a lot of people complaining online, etc. So I feel like a lot of people are happy, tending to forget to what happened this Saturday. So as far as Theory being a masked person, I think that makes all the sense in the world. Once we started seeing Grayson Waller hanging out with the New Day, we already knew that, Theory obviously wasn't released. So you knew that he was still in the building. They didn't obviously break up, but there was rumors, and you could see, obviously the dissension on TV that they would eventually split. But interested to see that Logan Paul last night, when the promo with them in the locker room, when he was talking with Bronson Reed, he said the masked man should show up. So I'm interested to see who exactly employed Austin Theory. It seems as if Logan Paul did, and maybe not Paul Heyman. That's just my original thoughts. Obviously, we'll probably get that answer over the next couple of weeks. But it seems as if Logan Paul was the one who employed Austin Theory and not Paul Heyman, because the GMs kept coming to him and saying, who's the masked man? Who's the masked man? We know how Paul can play, but it looks like Paul asked him and said, what do you know the masked man? So it seems as if Logan Paul was the one who employed Austin Theory. I
didn't even think about that, and I love that theory. No pun intended, maybe pun intended. I don't know, but in theory, dude, if it's Paul versus Paul power struggle, when it comes to the vision, whose vision really is it? I actually don't hate that in the future, because storytelling wise, the way that I viewed it, and I said this coming out of Survivor Series, I said, I don't care who was actually in the ring wearing the mask. Just say it was Seth Rollins. That was what I pitched creatively, right? That's not obviously realistic. Probably it's possible, but not anymore, but it was at one point, right, in the past. But my idea was have it be Seth. The idea of it being Logan that brought in Theory. Wait, why'd you do that? And Paul versus Logan Paul, Paul Heyman, Logan Paul, sort of talking about who's the one really calling the shots. I don't mind in the least because you actually lean into Logan Paul's real persona there in a way that we haven't really touched upon as much as you possibly can on the WWE screen. Now, Anthony, you are the head of opinions for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I can see by the way you've been moving your eyebrows for the last minute and a half that you got something to say about this one. Talk to me, my friend. What do you think?
Oh, I have a feeling this rant, I may get fired for this. In all seriousness, I've been watching Austin Theory since the Evolve days. And I remember seeing him going, okay, this kid's got something. He's young. He's got a lot of charisma. Then he came to WWE. Multiple stints in NXT. He was Seth Rollins' disciple. That didn't pan out. Then he was in the way, and he was an idiot in that gimmick. Then he gets on TV with the selfie. He's Vince's last chosen one, got caught up in that power struggle, had goofy cash-ins that went, that ridiculousness. And then he was in a tag team with Waller. And again, he was the idiot. There was no payoff there. He's off TV and, Ben's doing his push-ups. And the man wasn't on TV, and then it's this fake people that all want Theory and all this other stuff. So, I find it laughable, to be perfectly honest with you. I saw the reveal, and I'm like, oh, he's entered. Clark, what are you doing with the comments? I want to rant here. And then you get a situation where he does the reveal. So now he's entered his Justin Timberlake justified appearance. Look, I mean, this guy just doesn't have it. You can have the skills, but I don't think he has a character that I care about. I remember when he was feuding with Cena, and Clark, you and I were on the post show after Cena did the promo. And I said, and I think you agreed with me, was Cena buried him so deep that even if Theory won at 39, it ain't going to unbury him. And when we were at 39 and I'm sitting next to you, you and I both went, this match is horrible. And then when Theory won, I said to you, I went, that ain't going to matter. And it didn't. It didn't. He does not have the character to make this work. I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to prove me wrong, but everything I've seen of Theory so far, he has not evolved from when I saw him back in the day in Evolve.
You bring up a really interesting point, especially when it comes to the Theory victory over Cena, because I think about this too. Let's not forget. Yes, John Cena tapped in his final match to Gunther, and that's been the story for the last, few days. Was it 2 weeks ago that Dom Mysterio beat John Cena? When we just stopped talking about that? Like, is beating John Cena actually that big of a feather in your cap? Are we going to hang on to that for years on end? You know what I mean? If you're the last one, I guess it's supposed to be a little different, but wouldn't you think, Anthony, after 20 plus years at the top? And that's where it's kind of funny, like to your earlier point, right? 20 plus years at the top. Do we need to use the qualifier of, it's the last Cena match, so it's a bigger deal? You shouldn't.
There was also.
But I'm thinking about the way that Cena was booked along his entire retirement tour, is what I'm saying, right? Because the whole Dom thing got, I don't want to say erased, but nobody's talking about Dom beat Cena.
Because now, here's the thing, because Dom has now become this heel people love to hate. Dom is beloved at this point. We saw that at WrestleMania, Clark, where the audience was greatly behind him. So Dom's now gotten in this position, this Eddie Guerrero position, where people love to cheer him. Gunther is a heel, like an actual heel. That's the difference.
That's fair. That is totally fair. Well, the other thing is, I think, I've talked about it. I called him Stewie Griffin or Bart Simpson when it comes to Dom. Dom's a babyface now. Dom's the guy that you want to root for, right? He's not perfect, but he's likable in a way that's unique.
I do want to point out, Clark, because we have a few minutes here. If you remember when Dom was still teaming with Ray and you had written him off.
Oh, yeah, I quit on Dom. I quit on Dom like two or three times.
I wrote a piece for the site and said he needs to turn heel and embrace his inner Guerrero. And look what happened. Look how that panned out, because you could timestamp that, and that was before he turned heel.
It's one of the best articles ever on our site, by the way. Cheap plug, though, and if you're going to cheap plug, you have to say cheap plug. I'm kidding. No, but
it's been on there for over a year, for 2 years or whatever. So it's not a cheap plug now at this point.
In all sincerity, it is interesting. I do think Theory who's the first opponent, though? How do we work him into this? That's going to be what's most interesting coming out. I think those are questions we can't answer today, though, and that will bring us to the end of the show, my friends. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. Of course, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. That's noon Pacific, 3 o'clock over on the East Coast, 8 o'clock in the UK, and 9 a.m. for my good friends in Hawaii. And then, more importantly than that, if you have no Tuesday night plans, check out Off the Air tonight, because me and Driz and Shad will be breaking down NXT Best of All. We're going to do our unofficially official end of the year awards. So get excited about that one. Check that out. If you didn't have Tuesday night plans, you have them now. Remember to do all of the officials, though, when you write it down, because it is unofficially official. On behalf of me, Clark Taylor, Lawrence, Anthony, everybody at WR, I hope you have a great Tuesday. We will definitely talk to you soon. Get some tacos, my friends. No doubt about it. It's Taco Tuesday. Happy holidays.